Good morning to everybody to take part of in this particular session. Uh, I'm just talking about the data document encryption and the database encryption in TESTENIUM. So we will go through first on the database encryption. So in terms of encrypting the database or the data in the database applications, the industry normally use the traditional encryption schemes like AES and similar, but not searchable encryption. So in Testanium, we are using searchable encryption to encrypt the data that is going to be stored in databases using the application which is generated by Testanium. So in terms of the code generation, I'm talking about what we are doing in Testanium comparing to the industry standard. The industry actually employ programmers to write the code for the database applications where they'll be embedding the encryption code in it. And it may take months and years, depends on the size of and the complexity of the application. But regardless of the size or the complexity in Testanium, the Testanium will generate the code within few milliseconds on a click of a button. So for that, the user has to provide the database connection parameters and the data model or the database schema that is going to be used in the application. So as soon as they provide them, the Selenium engine will generate the code, and then the user can copy the code and run it on their machine. So for doing that, there are two ways of doing it. One is using the Excel to prepare the data model. So, but the Excel has a limitation of 255 tables, so that they'll be able to create an application with 255 data tables, so that they'll be able to copy the code that is generated and run it with their database. And the second way of doing it, we have a meta programming language called TAML, which stands for Testenium Application Modeling and Interface Language, which we invented. That's the world's first meta programming language that can generate the code based on the data model provided by the user. So the Testenium metacomputing engine support this particular language to compile and generate the code within few milliseconds, so that the user can copy the code and run it along with their database on their machine within a few minutes. So that is the database encryption and how Testenium generates the code and do it. So when the application is run by the user, the data will be encrypted on the user interface, and the encrypted data will be transited or transported to the database, and the database will be keeping all the encrypted data forever, so that the user can then access the data while the data is encrypted or process the data while the data is encrypted. The searchable encryption supports that. That means the end results will be decrypted when the results come to the client, so that the client will decrypt and the user will be able to see the data. So by doing that way, the data cannot be viewed by any hackers, even if they hack the database, because the data will be in encrypted format. So that is the end of the database encryption topic. And the document encryption, which is the second part, which I mentioned earlier, the document encryption part, again, we can use Testanium to encrypt the documents that we may have sensitive or personal data, which has to be protected by the companies to prevent hackers, or also to comply with the GDPR regulations. So in that, Testanium actually easily provides two software. One is the encryption software, the other one is the decryption software with the same key on both of them. And for each user, Testanium provides you with different software with different keys, so that one user's software will not be able to decrypt the other user's encrypted document. So that way, Testenium is providing the software, and the software will be created automatically when the user is creating the account on Testenium. So when they download those two software to the local device, and they can then select a folder which consists of number of documents. The documents can be in any format, like PDF or text or Excel, or even audio video files, so that the user can select the folder and click a button to encrypt all those documents which is in the same folder on a single click. So when the documents are encrypted, they can delete the plain documents and then keep only the encrypted documents. And also, whenever they want to use that uh, the encrypted documents to decrypt it and see or to use the plain data, they can choose the second program which is downloaded from the TESTENIUM, which is the decryption software. When they run it, they will select the same folder to decrypt the documents, or they can filter some documents to a new folder to decrypt them. Then they select the folder to click, and they will click the button to decrypt them, so that all the files in the same folder will be decrypted. So that is the way that we are doing it in TESTENIUM. So that's the end of the session. Thank you for listening this answer.